To this special edition of Q&A from Curtin University Perth campus of Peabody Energy. Answering your question tonight from the Managing Director of Peabody Energy, Chloe Liu, and the CFO of Peabody Energy, January Lee, and our Finance and Accounting Professor from Curtin University, Professor Chen. And please welcome our guest. As many people have already probably known, Peabody Energy is an US-based, world's largest private sector coal organization. It served coal customers all over the world for more than 25 countries. In 2014, Peabody Energy has sold 250 million tons of coals from mines in Australia and the United States. However, Peabody Energy has announced to file a bankruptcy in 2016. What a shocking news. But what caused this world's largest private sector coal organization to the end of its era? Is it because their poor business strategy? Is it because there's misconduct management? Or is it because the problem related to the environmental policies in the United States? Let's leave those questions to our audience. Please welcome our first student, Jay. Bring up your question, Jay.
Failure of Peabody must be the bad news to many people, and I also care about this failure. And I also have a question about this situation. What were the warning signs for the failure or panic scandal, including any financial warning sign?
Actually, financial signs have shown in 2015. One major aspect is that we are massively over-leveraged, with around 7 billion of current debts, 10 billion of total liabilities, but only less than 1 billion of equity. The large amount of debt, especially the bad current ratio, suggests that there's a great risk of us cannot paying our debt, eventually leads to our bankruptcy. Another financial sign is the continuously loss in Australian market. We acquired an Australian coal company called MacArthur Coal in 2011. This happened at the peak of the coal price, about $120 per ton, and the acquisition cost us around $5 billion. However, the average coal price in 2015 is only $75 per ton, which means the acquisition have led us to a great financial loss and caused us to keep borrowing more money, made our financial situation even worse. These are all signs from the financial aspect. There are also signs from the market. 4 large American coal companies has went bankruptcy in the year we fell, and we represented more than 40% of the US coal volume. The coal industry is facing a major downturn, and we didn't adjust our strategy in time to face the shrink of the market.
All right, hope our guest answer your question, Jay, and let's welcome our second student, Chen. Bring up your question, Chen.
Give me a chance to put the question. And as the shareholder of Peabody, I was really shocked and disappointed when I heard this bad news. For the reason I attend this show because I want to understand clearly about the measure that caused the company failure, and I also repair my question. Who was responsible for this case, and what do you think ultimately that caused the corporate failure?
To be honest, I bear the main responsibility for the corporate failure. As you can see, we overestimate the demand for coal in Asian area, especially for China and India. And we also tend to be more optimistic towards the potential for the future development of the coal industry. Also, some other mistakes needs to be mentioned here. For example, for whatever industries, I think there are downturns and boomings as well. So we are facing a downturn in this industry, and mainly in our company. I think we can probably overcome it if the financial position is healthily sustained, but actually we're not. So I think it's probably the financial department, so they owe the responsibility for us to assess the risk before it happens, or they will be able to make detections to any maybe leverage or risk about our company operation, also as well as the investment. So we, when looking back our financial position, so in the previous years, we have make a lots of profits from the coal mining from the Asian area, including China mainly. But if you assess to our financial report, especially for these couple of years, there are lots of debts and liabilities shows in the financial statement, which is kind of unhealthy. I think there's too much debts owned by the bank and the creditors as well, which increase our high leverage of our company, and this tend to increase the company's risk and insolvencies as well, since the high liability that we're having currently is too high for us to bear.
I agree that the financial department has our responsibility. We made some mistakes on some major investments, especially the MacArthur one, which I have mentioned. This played an important role in our failure. But financial department cannot act on itself. We did our investment plans based on the strategies set out by the management. We borrowed that much debt to cover our daily operations. We have warned them of the potential risks of this acquisition, as well as the risks of our outstanding debts. However, I think they are too optimistic in terms of estimating the market.
I think both of the departments should be responsible for that. When we move on to the CEO, they have to change their strategy properly, because they are the officer of the Peabody. They have to act in the best interest of this company.
So when we talk about the financial department, the CFO problem, but I have to ask you,
Do you have estimate your ability to pay back this money if the worst things happen, like if we didn't make any profit in this year?
So unfortunately, the worst things did happen, and when this creditor asked for your paid money, asked for the Peabody to pay the money, they can't pay that. So that's one of the reasons for the bankruptcy.
Moreover, as we can see, the Z-score in the financial statement in 2015 is negative, which means Peabody become more likely to go bankrupt. And in terms of current ratio, the CFO should be very sensitive about this number, because the higher the ratio, the more liquid the company is. But the ratio shows that Peabody is generally considered to have a bad short-term financial strength. So to sum up, all officers should be responsible for Peabody's collapse.
All right, time is ticking towards to the end of the show, and we'll have one more question left for the audience. And let's welcome our last student, Joel. Please bring up your question, please. Thank you.
I am Joe. Actually, I am the loyal audience of this show, and I think the topic today is really interesting. And I also have the question about the financial disclosure. And my question is about since both financial department and the executive have their responsibility in this failure. So do you think those failure linked to any financial disclosure problem?
Okay, so when we talk about the accounting disclosure, we can see the annual report of Peabody. Like, we can't directly see how much the liability they have, and this liability is supposed to be shown on the notes, but they are not there. So to compare with that, we have a good example of the financial statement for the Rio Tinto. We can see every data, every figure here, and we can find anything that we want. So based on my point of view, I think the Peabody may deliberate to conceal something. Like, they may conceal their increasing liability, and they mislead the stakeholder and the creditors. Like, they want to pretend they have a good performance, and maybe they want to pretend they have a sustainable financial position, which they didn't have. So I think that is one problem for the accounting disclosure. They have to follow, like such a big company, like the reporting company, they have to follow the accounting standards, but they're not.
All right, hope everyone enjoyed our topic today, and let's thanks once again for the management from Peabody Energy and Professor Chen coming to our show today. And thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Bye for now.